Thanks. I'm sitting here yakking and nobody can hear me. I'm a little rusty from doing these afternoon streams. Anyways, let me say this one more time so that you all can hear me. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing and another installment of Afternoons with the Ambassador. And for those of you who have followed me for a while, know that I used to do these quite often, but I've been busy lately. It has been a hectic several months and I just haven't had the time, but I have a weekend free for a change. I don't have to work. I don't have any place I have to be. And I wanted to get back to my roots a little bit and bring y'all an Afternoons with the Ambassador. And today we're going to be talking about Marvel Studios brand new animated series, What If? And I will tell you all, those of you who know me know that I am a Marvel fan, have been since I was a little kid. I remember reading the What If comic book series, and when they made the announcement for this series, I was very excited. And the series launched this past week with the first installment of What If, with the episode What If Captain Carter. And got a couple of friends here, a couple of familiar faces to the Ambassadorial Wing, and I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. You know them. You love them. One is an alum of the Ambassadorial Wing. He is the one and the only MB Geek of MB Geeks. Let's talk.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
how
Mick.
you doing, Ambassador?
Doing just fine. Doing just fine.
I'm going to be honest. I got up from a nap. I don't know if you, but we were working on our lawn most of yesterday, so I'm exhausted from that. We extended our driveway, but when I saw you were talking about What If, I was like, oh crap. I clicked on it. I was like, oh, you're just about to start. I was like, yes, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah. So, and also got another familiar face to the Ambassadorial Wing. He talks a little bit of everything, just like me. If you love wrestling, if you love pop culture, if you love an honest opinion, this is a channel you should most definitely tune into. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks, nerds, and ambassadors everywhere, give a very warm welcome to Aaron of Aaron Entertainment. Aaron, good to see you again, man. How you doing?
I'm doing quite well. I'm a little busy afternoons making some videos and setting up some streams, but I'm doing overall very well.
Well, good.
Nice.
So,
oh yeah. Well, that's my stream is about later tonight. It's about Spawn.
Oh yeah, because we talked about that last night. So, but yeah. And to everybody that's go ahead, Geek.
Sorry,
you're good. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I've actually I upgraded my Hulu to include HBO and a few other things.
Nice.
And Spawn the animated series is on there, and I haven't watched that since it first came out back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those things I'm pinned like I want to watch again. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because that's
I actually
was the shit. Sorry.
Oh, it was. No. Hey, you're good. You're good, man. And to everybody that's popping in, Lewis Cox and Tyler M, gentlemen, good to see you. Good afternoon. Glad you're here. And Lewis Cox. This first episode of What If, it was really solid. And like I said with my intro, when they announced that they were going to be doing this series and we were going to be doing it as an animated series, I was like, okay, let's see what they can do, because they haven't really, Marvel or the current iteration of Marvel Studios hasn't really done a animated series like this. They've been doing live action, and by and large, I've enjoyed the live action series that they've done thus far. But this is the first.
Well, it's been up and down. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I agree.
Hey, you don't love all of it. That's okay. It's not gonna hurt my feelings none. But when they announced that they were going to be an animated series, I was like, this is different, but it's familiar because, like I said, I remember reading I've read a lot of the What If comics from back in the day when that series was still running. I think they actually might still be in production. I'm not sure. But what they've done is they've taken the What If concept and they've applied it to phases 1 through 3 of the MCU. And what we get with this first episode is, instead of Captain America, Captain Carter and Margaret Peggy Carter becoming a super soldier. And I have to admit, watching this, the animation style, I think for me at least, was beautiful. I mean, really, I think it's very top notch. I think in some ways it actually rivals the animation style of what Lucasfilm has done with some of their animated series, in particular with the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. Although I haven't really watched Bad Batch, I kind of tuned out on that.
And I recommend Bad Batch. I finished up. I'm going to do a review I'm going to do a review on the entire season, probably Monday. Very good show. I'm telling you, Dave Filoni, and I know this is off topic what you were saying. I'm just saying, you brought it up. We are in good hands. I think we are really in good hands with our Star Wars series.
No, well, I do agree with you. I did watch. I stopped doing reviews for it because it just got kind of boring on my end, and I did check out the series as it popped up, and I don't hate it, but I just got bored with it. I did check out the 2-part series finale or season 1 finale, and I was like, it's okay, but I wasn't overly impressed. So,
well, that's the difference. I will say that's the difference between you and me. Then I thoroughly enjoyed it, but you know what? We're geeks. We're allowed to have difference of opinion.
That is true. And another shout out to the Chat Superior Hero Collectibles. Superior, good to see you, bud. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, but I know how it is. Life keeps you busy. So, but yeah, it's getting back into What If. I liked what they did with this particular story. Now, I will say this: I was banging my head figuratively against the wall, trying to figure out who was doing the voice of the Watcher. And when the credits rolled up, I was like, I know this voice, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out who the hell it was. And then when the credits came up for the cast, it's Jeffrey Wright. And because up until this point, Jeffrey Wright has not really had any involvement with the MCU, but he did. I think he was the perfect pick for the voice of the Watcher Uatu. And I love the fact that they keep to the Watcher's creed, to not interfere, to only to watch and observe. And I love that aspect of it. But getting into the episode itself, and we can do a deeper dive on some of the other stuff. This is like it's 30 minutes, but it's very well paced, and it's a very compressed and compacted version of Captain America, the First Avenger. Yes,
it's a very tight story.
Yeah, but I think it's very well paced. It's told very well. It's very seamless in how they carry everything through. And I will say, I like the design of Captain Carter when she gets injected with the super soldier serum. And I know some people have had some criticism of how she looks, but I think if you take into comparison how Steve Rogers looks after he's injected with the super soldier serum and how Peggy Carter looks, I think what they did with her design, it was good. I had no issues with it. Go ahead, Geek.
Hey, Ambassador, I didn't mention this in my review of that episode, but this came up a little later that I said the super serum was most likely designed with male physiology and genes in mind. So when she was injected with something that was meant to be more for a man's physique versus a woman. And I went with that one because I said it made the most logical sense scientifically. I just want to point that one out.
No, I can't say I disagree with that, because if you think about it, the way Erskine probably designed this for, and what all the test subjects he had used up until that point. Now, granted, we didn't get the backstory of Erskine with Schmidt or Red Skull, but I was okay with that because we already knew where Red Skull came from. But taking into consideration what you just brought up, Geek, yeah, I can't say I disagree. I think that's a pretty on point analysis of how the super soldier serum was designed, because all of these scientific formulas, they have a particular design parameter and so on, but I don't want to get into a bunch of sciencey stuff and bore everybody to tears. But the thing I will say is they kept the time period and the attitude of how women were perceived in the military, they kept it appropriate. Now, I did have some issue, but I had to realize this was the 1940s. Women were perceived as working behind the lines. They weren't perceived as working in the front lines in combat. So, how that one American officer who was in charge of SSR, how his attitude wasn't bothersome to me.
Ambassador,
it was appropriate to the time.
It was not only appropriate to the time, but as someone who did 20 years in the military and who has a wife who did 20 years in the military, I've got to tell you all, and I've said this, some colonels are just dicks no matter what.
Yep.
I'm sorry, folks. I know this from personal experience. Some colonels are just dicks. And at that time frame, if you think that was just in the 40s, folks, let me tell you something. That shit was in the late 90s when my wife and I both joined. It was still there. So that's one of the things, Ambassador, I always... people sometimes give Captain Marvel shit for the whole thing with the military. And I said, no, folks, that is actually accurate. I was in during that time. I know this. So I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and say that this is inaccurate when I know it's accurate.
I mean, in Air Force, how many women are actually Air Force pilots?
How many women are Air Force pilots? I'd have to look. But it's not even just.
I would imagine there's probably more now than there was.
Well, there's more than there was, but no. What he needs to think is not just who's a pilot.
Yeah.
How many are combat pilots?
Yeah.
There's a difference between an aircraft pilot and a combat pilot.
That's true. I would agree with that.
I'm sorry, Ambassador. I didn't mean to hijack that. I'm just saying.
No apologies. Actually, I do. I agree with you on that point, Geek. I think honestly, and I hold to this position even now, a few years after the release of Captain Marvel. I think it got a lot of undue crap. I think, was it the greatest movie ever? No. Was it sort of right in the middle? Was it okay? Yeah, it was. But I think it gets a lot of undue crap, and I think the star, Brie Larson, she gets a lot of undue crap as well. But that's a conversation for another time. But in terms of what they do with the story here, they keep it quick paced, but you still get some good character moments with Steve and with Peggy and with Howard Stark. And I will say I love the design of the characters and everything, particularly with Steve and with Howard Stark, and even the little bit that we see of Dr. Erskine. And the thing that I really appreciate was the fact that they were able to get the actors to come back and do their roles, especially for Jeremy Renner and Samuel L. Jackson. I was glad to see their names in the credits for their particular parts for Nick Fury and for Hawkeye. But I have to admit, the thing that really impressed me was the animation design, and not just so much the characters, but also the world. It was very reminiscent. I don't know if you all remember this when I did my review of the conclusion to season 7 of Clone Wars, with that very last shot where Vader's on the planet, where the ship crashed, Ahsoka and Rex are on.
I remember that one, Ambassador.
Yeah, and the background and a little bit of the foreground almost looked like an oil painting. They did something very similar here with the particular wide shots or background shots or cityscape shots. It looked very reminiscent of that particular art style, and I have to admit I really appreciate it. It looked beautiful, and I want to bring up Lewis Cox's comment here because I did want to talk about this too. the Iron Man armor Hydra Stomper looked dope. Lewis, I don't know if you know this, and guys, I don't know if you're aware of this either. Madam Ambassador actually told me this. They have already they're going to be Funko is going to be releasing a Funko Pop of Captain Carter on the Hydra Buster.
Yes, I saw that.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes, way. Yes.
I don't have any Funko Pops behind me, but I would get that. I would put that right next to my Oh, Cap, did you see the or not Cap, sorry, Ambassador, did you see my latest edition?
I've seen a few things to kind of make it out. What'd you get?
That's the Adam West Batmobile.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, let me here.
Nice. Very nice, dude.
I could not pass this up.
Nor would I blame you. Oh, dude, that's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh my god. You know what though? Here's the thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to hijack anything here.
No, you're fine.
When I went to the retro toy store, it was this. Okay,
mm-hmm.
It was like I waited a week and I had to make a choice. And I screwed up because I didn't make the choice. I just went with both. I said I'm gonna grab one or the other. Well, I grabbed that and I grabbed this.
Ecto 1. Yeah, dude, that's beautiful. That really is. Yes, very nice.
You know what? You know what? I love it because the way I redesigned everything. They're right next to.
Oh Lord. The DeLorean. Yep. Nice, dude. Very, very, very nice.
Yeah,
those are some nice. Those are some nice acquisitions, dude. Very nice.
Oh yeah.
One thing I do want to remark on the action scenes in this and just how effective she is in combat. And I particularly like the part where they're both in the gym. And he's getting back, and Steve's on the bars, reacclimating to walking. Yeah, and she's taking those weights that are for like a bench press and chucking them right into the freaking wall. Yeah. I was like, that was freaking badass.
There was like hundreds of them.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say hundreds, but I would say at least a good 10 to 15 at least. She's like that weapons grade moron, and I'm like, oh, can you blame her?
Yeah,
Ambassador, I disagree with what I've seen so many people see. I had a review that was completely different from what other people said. They said Captain Carter did things better than Captain America. No,
she did just as good.
Let's look at the context here. Let's take context because you know me, context matters. Steve Rogers, skinny kid from Brooklyn, not much experience in combat or fighting, obviously due to his height, weight, age, disability, yada, yada, yada. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Carter is a female, yes, but she is an agent. She has been in military style training, so she has combat experience, espionage, training, whatever. She has training. Period. So that doesn't make her better than Steve Rogers. Just makes her more experienced because of her background.
Yes,
and people
I would
are
agree.
missing that.
Well, yeah, because all
so much better.
Well, no, because you hit it right on the head. She's had training. He hadn't gone through any training. I mean, I'll tell you this.
He was rejected.
Yes, except for just basic training.
He was rejected by the military.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, actually, I want to point out something. When you saw them stamp on that on Steve Rogers' enlistment code, that 4F, that was actually very accurate because that means not. That was that was actually perfect because that was accurate.
Oh yeah. I never served in the military, but I've had a lot of family, and I had family who served during World War II. So, and I had family members who were married two other members who were served in during World War II. So I know what 4F means. So that for me wasn't lost on me whatsoever. But I have to admit, one of my favorite scenes is where she actually goes and she pretty much single-handedly takes out the entire convoy with its escort that's transporting Zola and the Tesseract. I have to admit, she absolutely kicked freaking ass. I mean, I loved it.
Zola to get him to talk. Oh my god! Like, what is?
She probably said, "I don't even think I want to know what she said to him." She probably just scared the living piss out of him, and he just spilled the beans, more or less. But
thank you, Lewis Cox, by the way, about my collection. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
Hey, here's the thing, Ambassador. What I was saying about that, she's experienced. She's a soldier. She's already got the experience. So while she's doing it, and then she's kind of like, she's kind of like somebody who realizes they have a talent they didn't know they had. And whereas now she has her talents enhanced and she's enjoying it like I think a girl would have done.
Probably.
Well, yeah.
That to me, her going and being excited about that, that's what girls would do. That's what I've seen girls do when they're excited about something. They act like that.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. When her and Steve are having that conversation, and she's like, I'm no longer fighting to be seen or to be heard or to be in the room. And Steve, he's not envious of her, but he does feel just a pinch or a pang of maybe just minor envy, not like major envy. He's not like pissed at her. He doesn't want to try and undercut her because he respects her. Because they obviously have a bond. They have developed a friendship, which we get hints of is going to turn into a romance. Unfortunately, the same thing happens to her. It happens to her that happened to Steve, just different circumstances. But the thing I will say is I love how What If is able to tell these very unique and interesting stories. I for one, am going to be interested to see, and this will probably be something I continue to review as the series goes on. But I'll be interested to see what the other stories are going to do with these different scenarios, because I know we're going to get one that's centered around T'Challa with Guardians and him as Star-Lord. And I know we're going to get one with Doctor Strange. And I know we're going to get one with Killmonger and Tony Stark. So I'll be interested to see what they do with those. Now, one thing I do want to comment, and guys, I want your opinion on this. The design of the Hydro Stomper. It almost seems like an advanced version of steampunk, except it's not steampunk. It's powered by the Tesseract. And I have to admit, I love the design of that suit because it looks like something Tony would have built, except it was built by his dad. So, guys, your thoughts on the Hydra Stomper and its design?
Go ahead, Aaron.
The Hydra Stomper, I liked it. It was very well designed. You know what? I'm glad they did something with Steve Rogers. Don't make him like there's a side on the side. There's as a pure love interest, even though he is a love interest, but at least they did something with him, made him useful. And for certain people out there, they made him useful out there, even though it was perfect. I hope Hydra Stomper appears in the future some way. The actual armor. Or an upgraded version of it, or something like that, or like Tony Stark's father works on not the actual Hydra Stomper, but more like another version of Hydra Stomper. You know, like a PlayStation 1 into a 2 into a 3. You know what I mean, right? Like something like that.
Well, and that is a possibility, but the thing with the What Ifs, they are oftentimes just a one-off. They don't usually get a part 2 or a part 3 per se. So the odds of us seeing the Hydra Stomper, except maybe in some fan art or whatever, which I would be cool with. I mean, like a Hydra Stomper Mark 1 or Mark 2 or whatever.
Yeah, Mark 1.
Or whatever. Well, I would consider what we saw in this episode to be the Mark 1. But I have to admit, I love how they took the part where it's Bucky that falls off the ravine and Peggy, or Peggy pulls him up before he slips off the train, and instead it's Steve that gets, we think, blown up and killed, and it's him that they have to rescue, and he's still in the armor, or the armor's still there, but they just use some sort of power generator to boost it enough to where he can do his part. Now, the other thing about this episode that I really honestly enjoyed was seeing all these little callbacks to the first Captain America, especially with this team of commandos, particularly the guy with the bowler hat. He's like
the Howling Commandos.
The Howling Commandos. Yeah. Thank you, Geek. Appreciate that.
No problem.
I loved seeing them in this play their part in this episode. And now this is a little thing too. I love the fact that they had those little portable radios, but they looked like an old school drop down microphone like you would see at like a boxing match or something like that. I felt it was very appropriate to the time period, but it felt like something that Stark would design. It was still portable, but it was still kind of clunky because this was the 1940s. Everything wasn't as streamlined as what we have now. But just those little bitty touches that make the world feel real, I really appreciated. I think a great deal. And go ahead.
No problem. One of the things I disagreed with certain other people who kind of came this off as Peggy was a better Captain America. First off, she wasn't Captain America. She wasn't Captain Britain, because Captain Britain is a completely different character. I was actually very pleased with the fact that they just called her Captain Carter. And I like how, one of the things people are like, oh, all the men are just rallying around her. No, they're not rallying around her because she's American. They're rallying around her because if you watch the episode, they're like Captain America when Steve Rogers, they become a team.
Yes.
The Howling Commandos have become a team wrapped around her. And yes, I get where you were saying Steve was, a little jealous, which is understandable, maybe a little envious, because she said, I don't need to be. And, he kind of, said, he kind of gets what she's saying. He gets it. Mm-hmm. But now she's being seen and heard, and he's still in some ways is not. But that part where, he's still trying to get in the fight, do whatever he can. He's not jealous that she's got the super serum. He's being absolutely supportive. Tony's being supportive. And Tony's like, you want to get back in the war? And Steve is just, what does it take? He doesn't say that, but and you know what? It wrapped around the fact that they were a team. Not about the fact that Peggy Carter was a woman, but because they were a team, a military fighting team. And I understand that so well. That's why I don't understand why so many people are having issues with this. This was, in my opinion, a great start to the What If, especially because I said this before. I said, please tell me the narration is going to start and end with the Watcher.
And shout to the chat, Chan Thorpe. Chan, good to see you. No, I'm going to have to, Chan, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think the story was by any means anemic, and it did have, I don't know if you ever read the What If comics, but this is what If did. It took events or characters within the Marvel universe and turned them on their head, where you had a different decision, a different chain of events play out, and this is exactly what happened and everything. And that's what If was always about. So what they've done is they've taken the What If concept and they've applied it to the MCU. So instead of them just picking random stories to do the What If the What If comic book series on, they've taken the movies from the MCU, and I imagine we may even get some What Ifs or maybe some other series that they do down the road. Who knows? But no, I did not by any means see this as anemic. I thought it was, as I said before you came in, it was very action packed. It was very well paced. The voice acting was right on point. I mean, they got Haley Atwell to come back. They got.
Yep.
I think they got.
They pretty much had the whole movie except for like Tommy Lee Jones and
yeah, except for Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah,
Chris
they had pretty
Evans.
well, and Chris Evans wasn't there. They had somebody else.
Yeah.
So, and hey, Positive Gander, good to see you too. But no, it's all right. Geek, I was too. So.
I don't know if Hugo Weaving did it. Did Hugo Weaving do Bisco?
No, Hugo Weaving didn't.
Yeah.
It was I think it was the same actor who had done the voice work and the mocap work for Red Skull for Infinity War and for Endgame. I think that's who they got to.
That's from, he's from the Walking Dead actor, I think. Did that version of Red Skull.
Maybe, but like I said, I think it was the same actor because the voice sounded very familiar to the actor who did Red Skull for Infinity War and Endgame when they go to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. So, but you know,
Ambassador,
mm-hmm.
You mentioned a thing about you kind of hit it really on the head there about the what ifs. There was a what if comic. It was one of my personal favorites way back in the day. And
mm-hmm.
It was, what if the Fantastic Four all got the same powers? And it was literally 4 stories if they
mm-hmm.
all got the same power. The Mr. Fantastic, The Thing, Human Torch, Invisible. I mean, it was 4 stories based on that. It was actually one of my favorites because it was so interesting in the dynamic of it. But that's the whole point. The whole point of What If was, if just a small thing changed, and I think that's what I don't understand. People are saying that this is tying into the multiverse. Now, look, I knew this is where MCU was going with the multiverse, but I don't know if you necessarily need to say what if is part of it. What if is always been, what if? What if this changed? What if this happened? That was the whole point of it. That was the beauty of the story. There was an issue where what if the Phoenix, what if Jean Grey kept Phoenix powers and she hooked up with Wolverine, and unfortunately her love for Wolverine wasn't as strong as Scott's, so she couldn't contain the power.
Yeah. Chan, I read a ton of them too. This is what If was always about. They have taken an event they took the story from Captain America, the first Avenger, and they changed a particular part of the story to tell a completely different story. This one was entirely different from what was in the movie. So, Chan, with all due respect, I'm going to have to disagree with you. So, and I do want to bring up Lewis Cox and then Geek 2 Seconds. Josh Keaton did Steve Rogers on this. He also voiced Spider-Man in a few animated shows from Marvel. Okay, Lewis, appreciate it. Okay, Geek, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I meant to say this. I'm not surprised that our current crop of What If, especially the first season or 2, are going to be in the MCU brand. We have to remember that most of the people who have watched these movies are not necessarily comic book fans. They don't know the comic book lore like many of us do in various eras. So they're going to do the MCU on things that people know about. Maybe, and this is what I said, if the show succeeds, maybe we'll get some of those other, really fun what ifs that come out later. But right now they've got to go out and say, hey, we got to do what ifs on what people know. And that's
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now I do know that they are going to do one for Marvel Zombies because they've shown footage from that particular run in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what twists they play with that. There's one What If story that I remember very, very well. It was an issue that I had bought way back when. I had several of these, but unfortunately, like most people do, I regretfully sold or traded away all my entire comic book collection. But there was one issue of What If where it tackles what if Silver Surfer had gotten the Infinity Gauntlet away from Thanos and decided to keep it rather than hang it over to Adam Warlock. And that for me, yeah. And he actually rebuilds Zenlaw. He gets his I think his wife or his spouse or significant other back, and it's a really interesting story. I'm gonna have to see if I can find that issue, but for me, I have to admit, this first outing was thoroughly entertaining. It told a story that I think a lot of people will be interested in. I think it has a lot of cool. I think it has some really good action set pieces that do mirror what the Captain America movie did, but it has that twist of having a person who is combat trained rather than having a green rookie soldier who gets that super soldier serum. So
thank you, somebody who actually knows what the hell they're talking about.
I have my moments, not many of them, but I do have them. But the thing for me is, I want to see Marvel animation succeed in a lot of ways, the same way that DC animation has succeeded. And if this is a preview of what is to come from Marvel animation, I think we're in for some pretty good stuff down the road. So,
they are starting to do. I mean, What If is first, but they are planning to expand it more into animation world.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think one of the good things with animation is you can tell a lot of really different, interesting stories that don't require necessarily the big budget that like live action would. And you can have them doing all sorts of outlandish, crazy things. I'll give you all an example, and this might be a little bit out of context. Well, not out of context, but when you play, this is going to be an old reference, but I hope some of you will get it, and I'll give you plenty of background just so you know. If you compare the final duel in... bless you.
Sorry, Ambassador.
Gesundheit. It's okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
You know, they say when you cough, your soul's trying to escape.
But as I was saying, in the final duel from Revenge of the Sith between Obi-Wan and Anakin,
yeah,
there is a leap that is made by Anakin, and it's right before that metal structure that they're on. It goes over that lava river, lava waterfall. The leap isn't that impressive. Now, in the Revenge of the Sith video game, that leap that Anakin does is much more impressive, much more grand, and when he lands, it's like a superhero landing, and then they re-engage. You don't have to worry about stunt work and stunt actors when you're dealing with animation. Now, if they're using mocap for any of this, which I have a feeling they might have for this first episode, and they might for later on down the road, because something that has been married very well is mocap, motion capture, and animation. And it's been married very, very well together. So I'll be interested to see what they do going forward with What If and whatever else in terms of animation that Marvel Studios is going to do down the road. But one of the action set pieces I absolutely loved is when she's breaking into the camp to help rescue Bucky, and she takes that motorcycle and she's airborne, and she kicks it into that gun tower, and it just goes kaboom, and I'm like, damn, that's badass.
Yeah.
I watched this episode twice since it dropped on Wednesday, and both times I'm like, every time she does that, I'm like, damn, you're a badass, Peggy Carter.
I've got to actually watch it. I've got to watch it again tomorrow because tomorrow
Mhm.
I'm doing a review of this very same episode with
Mhm.
my buddy Jack Beers. By the way, Lewis Cox, thank you. I appreciate that. What if has already? He says, "What if has already got a season
Yep,
2?" That's
that's
awesome.
confirmed. That's confirmed.
That doesn't
That is
surprise.
awesome.
That doesn't surprise me.
It,
That does not surprise me in the slightest.
it was really well done. I mean, that's why I'm watching these. I've watched some videos and I've watched some people who are way bigger channels than us, and they're just hating on it and calling it a bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what you're watching, but what you're watching is not what the rest of us watch.
And they're probably not Marvel
Well-
fans. They don't understand it.
Well, as the old saying goes, unfortunately, hate gets clicks. Well, me,
You know what? You
Am
want to
I-
hear something? I watched the end of Bill Maher, you know, on his show. You know, he hates woke
Mhm.
culture, stuff like that.
Mhm.
He was actually talking about his new rules about people just not really believing what they're saying on YouTube or on Twitter. They just say it just to get clicks. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he said last night. He actually said it last night.
well, now
I
you know,
actually, oh, sorry, Ambassador.
no, quit apologizing. Go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, I was watching someone who I used to watch back when they were a very small channel and they've blown up into the triple digits,
Mhm.
100,000s areas and everything, and it's fine. Problem was, I noticed a trend with many of those I've noticed is it went to now it's all about hate and negativity. And
Mhm.
this is something that kind of bothered me. I did one negative video on my YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel is very small, and that got more clicks and views than anything. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I'm not going to sit here and be a negative person just to get clicks. Not going to happen. If I think something's negative, I'll say it's negative, but I'm not going to sit here and be like these folks who I've seen who are bashing what if when I'm like, no, you're wrong. I'm not. Here's the thing. I actually think some of these folks I saw liked it. They just don't want to admit to themselves they liked it because it won't get them the clicks. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes, it
I
makes
could,
perfect sense.
I definitely do believe that. I think it's all there. Some people on YouTube. Well, look. We're on YouTube. We have a persona, but I think some people, like for me, Ambassador, you guys, your persona is actually more like the real you. I think for some people, their persona is not the real them. It's the fake them. It's like they think they're wrestling characters. You know, they think they're like
Yes.
in character.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
That's a very good
That's an
analogy.
excellent analogy.
Well, Aaron is a huge wrestling fan, and yeah, you want to talk wrestling? Aaron's your guy.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. And one of these days, I'm going to set up a stream, and maybe in the next month or two, where we're going to talk about wrestling from the 80s and 90s, and maybe go into the early aughts a little bit, because I loved wrestling growing up as a kid, and it's been something that's always been in the back of my mind. I'll pull up clips on YouTube or on Facebook video or whatever of old matches or old promos or whatever, and I'll just sit there and just it's cathartic. It's a good release. It makes you laugh. It gives you a good. It's very visceral. You love seeing you love seeing the baby face beat the living crap out of the heel, or vice versa.
Or like the anti-heroes, like a Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
Junkyard
Yeah, those guys.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But
Rowdy Piper, Macho
Oh, yeah.
King, Randy Savage,
Macho Man Randy Savage.
$1 Million Man.
Ted DiBiase.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
I remember,
Fun fact about Ted DiBiase: he's actually a pastor now.
Oh, Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, it's true. He is a pastor. Yeah.
Bad, mad, Papa Shango.
Oh, Godfather.
Yeah.
Oh, well, when I watched wrestling, I only watched it a certain period, and that was during the mid '90s. That was when the toys were really selling. So here's the thing: I'm going to be the first one to admit I get into watching wrestling because the toys. I was like, what is this? Who's this Hulk Hogan and stuff? Who's this Macho Man? And I started watching wrestling on TV, when we could get it. And God, what was it, Ambassador? It was like, what, late at night? 7, 8, 9?
Something like every that. Monday.
I wouldn't consider Monday that. Yeah, Monday night and Saturday night, or Friday night.
Yeah, so it used to be in the 80s. I think it was Saturday nights of WWE was Saturday. And then 93 it became a Monday weekly show. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because and then you had the Monday night, what was known as the Monday Night War. And
yeah, 95, 96. Yeah, 95. Yeah, 95 September is when Nitro came on Mondays to compete with WWE. And then for about 5 years, Nitro and Raw were on the same night until WCW kind of ran out of business.
Oh, hey, George.
Ran out of business in 2001. And Monday night it's been WWE ever only TNA tried to go on Monday nights against Raw back in 2010, 2011 when it didn't work out.
Yeah. But one thing I want. No, it's okay, bud. It's all right. One thing I want to comment on, and this is just a little minor detail, but I seem to pick up on these things. The way that, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. The way the fluid or the whiskey or the liquor looked in their glasses when Steve and Peggy were sharing a drink, it looked so clean. It looked so. It almost looked real, if that makes any sense at all.
I thought I was the only one who got that.
No.
I looked at that glass and I was like, oh my God, that almost looks real.
Yeah.
I'm not bullshitting you, Ambassador. I agree.
No.
100%.
No. There's the part where there's a series of transitions. And it's right when Red Skull gets the Tesseract from the church there in Norway. And then they transition to the artist's picture or the picture in the book when they're trying to get the Colonel to let them go on this mission to get the Tesseract back or retrieve it from Red Skull and from Zola and them. And he refuses. But then there's another transition when she slams it down on the Colonel's desk. And the Colonel says, Stark, you think you can do anything with this? He's like, oh, yeah, I can do a whole lot with this. But then it transitions again from the cube of the Tesseract to an ice cube in that glass of whiskey. And those are just those little transitions from one scene or one shot to another. And it was all just so seamless. They made it look so dang easy. And I cannot imagine how much render time and just detail that they had, the artists who did this series and everything had to do just for those 2 or 3 seconds of footage in this episode. But that's one of the things that's always impressed me about animation is the skill and the effort and the sheer talent it takes. Now, I actually have a friend who I've known since elementary school, and he is a very, very talented artist. He does work on commission. He actually lives, I think, in Qatar, and he does a lot of art commissions and so on for high-end dealers and just for the general public and everything. But I have seen him post his stuff on his Facebook, and I've seen posts from different websites and other things that sometimes talk about him and what he does. And I just have to say about him, dude, you were talented back when we were short in elementary school. And now that you're all grown up and you're in your 40s and everything, you've got a family and you become this very accomplished artist. I have this very deep respect, just like I have a deep respect for people who are musicians. Musicians are artists of a different sort. And most of the musicians I have known in my life, they are some of the most down-to-earth, decent people I have ever known. And speaking as the son of a musician myself, I've always had a fondness and affinity for making friends with musicians because in some way, some of them remind me of my dad. Okay. Sorry, geek. I didn't mean to ramble on there.
Oh, no. This is just something I want to share. Because I saw it. This is a rarity.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, it does to a point, but that honestly doesn't surprise me, because if you think about it, the critics are going to look at this from a particular perspective, but I think something that has happened with people who do reviews like this in the YouTube game, like myself and you and so on, we've been able to educate ourselves and learn how to review and break down these movies and these TV series in a way that is similar, but we still add our own personality into them, and we bring that enthusiasm and that exuberance to what we're talking about.
We bring our fan side into it a bit more than
that too. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, these reviewers, I'm not saying what they don't do is bad, but they don't necessarily look at it from the same perspective that we do, and that's okay. Because
they have a different Ambassador, you got to think they have a different agenda than we do. They have a different agenda, a different thing. They're paid to do this. We do this as hobby entertainment. We're not the kind of people who are going to get on the red carpet. But what I've noticed though is most of us, some of us, we're still staying grounded on what we're doing. Whereas I said earlier, whereas some people I saw hating on this, and I've seen them hating on other things, and I'm kind of like, are you hating on this because you really hate it, or are you hating on it because this is what people on your channel want? Because I've started to notice, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but have you noticed some of those people have started to come off as, they almost feel like they're faking it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. It's not just me.
No. Well, Geek, this is something, I don't know if you remember, about a year or so ago, I did a stream talking about shattering the YouTube bubble, and I address this very point that you are bringing up now. And I have found in that year there have been a lot more people who, to one degree or another, agree or share the same perspective that I do than those that do to the contrary. And people are starting to wake up. People are getting wise to these individuals. And I'm not going to name names. That's not my place here. I'm just giving some context for what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. These individuals, they don't want, or they feel that they can't give an honest review of whatever they're talking about without just going hardcore negative and using the same talking points and using the same terminology and the same vernacular over and over and over, and just applying it to every single thing that they cover on their channel or on their website or whatever. And it's inauthentic, and people are getting wise to that fact. And channels like myself and a lot of others are starting to get traction because people are getting wise. People are waking up, and it's nice. It's a nice thing to see. I do want to bring up Lewis Cox and George's comments here. Also, the end of the episode, the end of the first episode of What If ends with Captain Carter coming out of the portal in first Avengers movie, where it's supposed to be Loki, but it was Peggy, which was awesome. Yeah, Lewis, I have to agree. Although I wouldn't necessarily say that's the same situation per se. I think maybe what we had there was them, maybe this was an ongoing experiment that they had been trying to get Captain Carter back.
I agree.
They finally were.
I honestly think. Sorry, Aaron.
Because they had the Terrasec in possession, even though when they got Loki out, they had it in possession, but it didn't come from Asgard at the time. It's different. They actually had the Terrasec in possession, and Asgard didn't, so Loki couldn't go through it. And Shield.
That's a good point.
It's a little different. Because remember, in the Thor, Shield had the Terrasec, right? But Loki went to go get it and stuff, and he got sucked into the Terrasec, right? Well, I think is the Power Stone, which. Space Stone, right? Which is one of the stones, right?
The Tesseract is the Space Stone.
So he got stuck into it, right? But in this case, it never came to Asgard, and Loki never had possession of it. That's what it looked like.
No. The how that's a bit of a minor plot hole for the first Avengers because we don't know exactly how Thanos sent Loki through the Tesseract once Shield was able to activate it.
No,
And
I didn't think
Sylvie,
about it. I didn't think about it as a plot hole. That's a good point. Because
it's a minor one, but it doesn't break the movie.
Yeah.
But I think in this particular instance, being they never lost the Tesseract and they had in their possession all of this time,
yeah,
it might have been something. It might have been a directive that had been just passed down. We are going to keep trying to get Carter. We're going to keep trying to get Carter back until we succeed, and they were finally able to succeed.
Because they knew she was in it. She knew they didn't know Loki was in there. They knew that she was in there.
Well, Loki isn't even a factor in this. That's not even the point here.
I actually, if I remember correctly, watching the trailer and the credits and stuff, I think we're gonna get a Avengers episode.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the team's gonna be different.
Yes, it's gonna be different.
Exactly. I think they're actually doing with it. I'm just guessing here. But I think they're doing with some of these what ifs. They're going to build these up to the what if Avengers episode.
They potentially could, and and if they do that, okay, cool. But it'll be but obviously it'll be a very different story. George. Who would anyone like to see Captain Carter and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness after watching this episode? I wouldn't say it's a bad idea, but I think they've already wrapped filming on that, George. So, the other thing is Captain Carter as an animated character works very well. Getting Haley Atwell,
live action, I wouldn't say so much.
I don't think a live action Captain Carter would look as good as an animated version because as I mentioned before, you can do a lot more with animation than you can do with live action. So you can have Carter look how she appears in this episode a lot easier than you would if she was live action because that requires a lot of motion.
Okay?
Bless you. Dennis. Allergies acting up on you?
No, I just have a sneezy fit every now and again there, Ambassador.
That's okay. No, you're fine, man.
Well, let's talk about that, Ambassador, if you don't mind. The animation was beautiful. Very well done. Very high quality. It was done in the way that I thought Master of the Universe was done quality, but with better acting.
I can't speak on Masters of the Universe Revelations because I have not watched it because right now we don't have Netflix. But I have seen clips of it. I've seen stills of the animation, and yes, I would agree that the animation is right there. While the styles are different, both styles are very beautiful. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the quality of the work that was put in was very well done. I have to admit on both sides and everything with What If and with Masters of the Universe Revelations. Yes, the animation styles, while different, are very beautiful, and it just goes to show that Marvel wants to be taken seriously for their animation work. Now, that's not to say that some of the animated stuff they have done in the past wasn't good, but it doesn't have the weight that the DCAU product does. I mean, going all the way back to the 1990s and coming up to current time, by and large, the animation style and the stories and everything across the board have been it's beautiful, it's well done, the stories are very engaging, and as a Marvel fan, I say I want the same level of work put into Marvel animation that was done for DC animation. That's been done for DC animation for so many years. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And fun fact, geek. I don't know if you know this. Now, granted, you got them all on physical copy, but HBO Max actually has all of those series on their catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one more.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I've had. I can't believe that in 2021 I have to go back to physical media, but these people are like, I'm scared they're gonna edit our crap. They're gonna edit our culture.
Well, I can tell you right now, geek. I've watched the biggest part of all of those series on HBO Max, and to the best of my knowledge, nothing's been changed.
Mm-mm.
Oh, good.
Nothing has been changed. It's now the only thing that has been changed, and this is just a little minor thing for Babylon 5, and just a little off topic. The only thing that they've changed for that is they went back and did a remaster of all the visual effects, the computer generated graphics. So that's the only thing they changed there. But pretty much all the old school stuff that hasn't been touched, except maybe to touch it up and remaster.
Yeah, just want to let you know, I still haven't found another one.
Dude, it's okay. Hey, I'm not worried about it. So I want to bring up George's question here. I asked because I know people will start theorizing that this will mean that the MCU multiverse and Doctor Strange 2 will be brought up by a lot of fans during this show. Well, George, here's the thing. This is another way of them introducing the multiverse concept in a way that's not only entertaining, but helps the audience and the fan base acclimate to this whole concept of the multiverse. And I can't remember exactly who said it not too long ago. It was actually, I think it was actually on my Suicide Squad review that I did Sunday. One of my panelists made this comment that what the multiverse means for the MCU and what the multiverse means for DC are two completely different things.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I remember that.
The multiverse for the MCU has been built up to. We've gotten hints at it. We've gotten some explanation on it.
We have the main catalyst for the multiverse, and then Loki.
Loki is going to be the main catalyst, and I think I think WandaVision is going to play a part in that as well. I think Wanda is going to have a part.
I think WandaVision, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange 2, it sounds like those three are connected to each other to a bigger, grander scheme of the multiverse. Like,
I agree. Coming. So, we've already...
Sorry.
No, you're...
There, Avengers Earth, the Mightiest Heroes animated show, yes, was a very excellent show.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it.
I've seen it. I don't have it yet, but it's on my list to get. One of the things I think people are maybe, I don't know, are people reading too much in this with the what ifs, saying this is going to be the future? It's like, no, the what ifs were always supposed to be an alternative story. It was Marvel's version of an Elsewhere story, like in DC.
Yes, exactly. And go ahead, Geek.
Well, I knew the multiverse was going to be the case. I kind of figured that out in Spider-Man: Far From Home. It's kind of even though it was fake with Mysterio, it laid the groundwork for the whole multiverse. And
foreshadowing.
As we started watching the shows, I said, and as things started going, especially with WandaVision, I said, we're going into the multiverse. And I got ripped through the coals. Everybody's like, no, they're not going multiverse. I'm like, they're going multiverse.
That's going to be
right there.
I mean,
this is going to be the next movie. This is going to be the next. This is going to be the next big phase. It's going to be the next conflict within.
We have our next Thanos.
It's going to be
with Kang the Conqueror. Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to take 10 years. I don't think it's going to take 10 years like what they did with Thanos. It'll probably be shorter, but it's still the big next bad.
But
maybe.
if we're going to have Kang, if you're going to have Kang the Conqueror, You got to have the Fantastic Four.
And they're coming. They're
are.
coming. It's going to be a few years, but they're coming
They
just like Doom is coming.
It. They pretty much confirmed it with the teaser they had to do these a couple months ago. The Marvel stuff.
Yeah. And I do want to address the chat. MJ1 Media, Mega Jetty. Good to see you, bud. He's like, I'll just bring up his comments as we here. Hang on. Let me scroll back up just a smidge here. Ambassador Wing, hey dude, I like this. The idea of what ifs series seems cool, but I don't think they will do it right for me. For one, we get Piggy's Double D's looking like moops. I'm sorry, MJ, I don't see it the same way you do. And we've already discussed the design of Captain Carter, and I think her design was good. So I'm sorry, I don't share your perspective. I respectfully disagree, and we'll move on to your next comment here. Not to mention the what ifs from years ago, like what if Gwen Stacy lives, are good ones to tell. Yeah, and I think they're telling some good. They're going to tell some good ones here in the series. We've only gotten the first episode, so you cannot judge an entire series on just one episode. We're going to have to see the whole. We're going to have to see how all these episodes stack up next to each other and see the whole context of what they're planning. And I'll bring up your other comment here. Heck, my Terminator what if and on TechCom are better than what the MCU has planned. I respectfully disagree. I think what you're doing is probably just as good on one level, and I think what the MCU has planned is probably just as good too. So, with no disrespect, we'll see what they have planned for us. But I for one,
they were supposed to be. This is probably supposed to be 2021. Is supposed to be the middle point of Phase 4, or maybe still part of the early stages of Phase 4, but more advanced in the early stages of Phase 4. But since the pandemic, it delayed basically everything in 2020. They're technically still in the early stages of Phase 4. You got to remember that. They probably thought Doctor Strange probably to come out this year, or some of the movies that were coming out this year. They probably thought would be coming out. Like Spider-Man, it's coming out this year, obviously, but Doctor Strange they probably thought would be coming out this year.
Well, it was supposed to. I think Doctor Strange is coming out next year, actually.
Yeah, but it's probably but if they had a plan, if there was no pandemic, it probably would have came out this year.
Yeah. Now I did have a question. Maybe you guys can answer this for me. I heard some rumor or whatever, or heard a story that Venom 2 was getting delayed. Is
October 15th. October 15th is a new date.
Oh, it's going to still be this year. It's just going to be a few days later.
Yeah, a month. Basically, a month later.
All right. That's
right after my birthday.
But it's a big day. I think there's a couple movies coming out that day, like Halloween and The Last Duel.
Well, that would make sense. October 15th is on a Friday.
Halloween's not going to move because Halloween has to come out during Halloween season. But
oh God, what is Rob? Is Rob Zombie doing another Halloween, or are they?
No, this actually continues. It's called Halloween Kills. It's a continuation from the Halloween that they did a couple of years ago with Jamie Lee Curtis. It was actually a continuation from the very first Halloween way back when, with John Carpenter.
Now, sorry, I'm gonna say this. There's Halloween, there's Halloween 2, and there's Halloween H2O.
Yeah,
but that one came out a few months ago. The one that came out a few years ago, I actually kind of liked it. It was not that bad.
Okay.
What?
And, say it one more time, Aaron.
I kind of liked the one that came out a few years ago.
Oh,
okay. Right. Cool.
No problem with that. I haven't seen it, and I probably never will.
Yeah,
I did know Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes, George is right. Eternals is staying too on November. They're not moving Eternals.
Right. Eternal. I do want to bring up just George's comment here. Off topic a bit, but I would love to see a Harry Potter what if series. You know what? That would be a good one for someone to do. That would be an interesting to do, because think about all the different stories that you could tell from the novels and so on.
Just what if he becomes Voldemort? What if he joins Voldemort?
Yeah. So.
So Eternals is staying, but we'll see how Shang-Chi does in September because they're
Oh,
staying
I'm
and it's not
still,
going to be in premiere access with Disney. So
and I,
that's
you know, honestly, I'm okay with that.
Shang-Chi is a test.
Uh,
That's a test. Shang-Chi is a test right now. It's a huge test for Disney.
a Halloween, just George. Halloween H2O. Yes, it is underrated. Still need to watch Halloween 2018. I mean,
You
if you
can if you
want
want
to,
to.
go ahead. I wouldn't. I just rather stick with Halloween H2O as the final ending.
Yeah, or maybe even
H2K
how,
just had it. Well,
or
H2K just had a really terrible retcon.
The problem with horror movies, and have so many horror movies of the same killer, like Jason
mhm.
especially, and
Oh,
Mike Myers. Freddy Krueger not as much. Is you don't know what the continuity is anymore, because it always changes. It's like what is the timeline of these movies?
so, well, yeah, but the great thing to kind of tie back in our original, the main topic of this afternoon, um, the great thing with What If, there is no continuity. It's a multiverse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You're looking at one snippet from one timeline, but they all exist in the same multiverse. Because remember what the Watcher says at the end: because of one decision, the multiverse gained a new champion. And I gotta admit, hearing the intro, hearing the voiceover, and seeing, you don't see the Watcher's face, you just see the outline or the silhouette. I thought that was honestly perfect. I did.
that right there was what sold me for it. Was like,
Yeah.
okay, because I said before I even watched the episode, I said in my mind, as a huge fan of the What If comics growing up, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, are we going to get the Watcher? Is the Watcher going to be the intro and the outro?
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mm-hmm.
was. And I was like, as soon as I saw the Watcher, I was like, okay, we're on the right track. I already knew we were on the right track. Somebody read the freaking comics.
Yes.
So that's
Well, and
where I just.
honestly, the What If comics are very iconic. Granted, it was a lesser known series within the Marvel comics, but it was one that had a very loyal fan base. Hi. Yeah,
Hi,
this guy
this
too.
guy. This guy
Yeah.
too.
And I want to bring up George's comment here about Shang-Chi because I think he's actually onto something here. I agree with Aaron. The expectations for Shang-Chi's box office might be bigger now with Venom 2 not coming out until October. Shang-Chi has no competition in September. George, you're not wrong. And I think that might be part of the reasons why they did move Venom to October. Not to mention, if you think about it, the whole concept or the whole theme of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, it does lend itself to almost a horror movie aesthetic. So having it in October, I think, is a good marketing move. And
I
I'm
agree.
still waiting for a rating. I shared this opinion with a couple of fellow YouTubers. I consider them friends.
yeah. It
Oh,
has to be like
shut up,
why.
LDG.
Shut up, LDG.
She just got
You're gonna get
canceled.
canceled in a minute. You know what? No. You know what? LDG, this is what I say to your comment.
Ambassador, I've never seen you so vulgar.
I have my moments.
Hey, Ambassador. I meant
Mm-hmm.
to tell. I haven't got a chance to tell you. I don't know if you saw. My wife applied and she got a job. Since she retired from the military, she is actually going to be a teacher for third and fourth graders at a private
Dude, that's
Christian
awesome.
school. Yeah,
Nice.
private
That's great.
Christian school.
Congrats. Nice.
Yeah, she's already gone a couple of days, and I've met some of the staff. I did tell them it's a small school. I asked if they had an IT guy. They don't, so I said if you need a volunteer to help out, I'll help out. Make my say, kind of give my wife some extra pointers too. But she's
Dude, that's
actually
awesome.
really, yeah, she's looking for it. So she's gonna actually be doing the private school thing, and I'll be doing the homeschool part.
You gave LDS. You gave us an article from a year ago.
Oh, that's LDG for you.
Yeah. And I have also this to say to Mr. LDG.
How could you rent the thing anyway without a credit card?
I have a gasoline card.
You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile.
I've been wearing the same under.
Sweetie, what's up? Taste it. Okay. Okay.
I like that. I like that clip from Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. The best Thanksgiving movie ever.
Yes, it is.
So that was Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
But it was a reface with me.
Do you know why that movie got an R rating?
Yeah, because of the F bomb
You said the
scene.
F word. Yeah, there's F words in it. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
F words in it.
I know that scene very, very
didn't
well.
need to, but it did. That movie didn't need to be rated R, but it should have some swearing in it, like at least ass and stuff.
No, the whole point it got rated R was that whole scene with him talking to the lady about the rental car.
Yeah. That's the scene. But kids saw that movie. I mean, like parents just saw that kids that movie.
Well, Hell's Bells. I mean, it's a John Hughes movie, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And just a little plug for the upcoming next month, in celebration of my birthday, I'm be doing a very special director spotlight for one of my personal. Granted, all the directors I've done for my director spotlight series have been favorites, but this is by far the one director that truly was transformative for my teenage years and my adulthood. The late, the great Mr. John Hughes will be getting his very own director spotlight next month for my birthday.
The man was right for the time.
For the 80s,
He was brilliant.
Especially
He was brilliant.
Absolutely. His 90s career wasn't so great. His 80s career was legendary.
Oh yeah, he was an icon of the 80s.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have seen what he could have done if he had not passed, but
that's true.
So, but well, guys, I think we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes because I've got another stream at 7:00 tonight, and I've got another stream later on after that at 10. So, I'm gonna let you guys have the final word on What If, and then we will wrap up for this afternoon. So, Geek Aaron, the floor is yours.
I thoroughly, like I said, I enjoyed it. I very much thought it was, I disagree with a lot of people. I think it was very true to the comic, very faithful to the idea of what If was. And I'm very much looking forward to talking about this tomorrow on Sunday with Jack Beers. And
Well, and
I'm
do me a
very much
favor.
looking-
Just real quick, do me a favor. Tell Jack I said hi because it's been a little bit since I've talked to him. So,
I'll let Jack know. I'll let Jack. We were originally going to do Lower Decks, and then we saw that episode, and I knew he liked it. I liked it. I said, "Oh, screw this. Let's talk about something we enjoy." So yeah, I mean, I thoroughly thought it was entertaining, very faithful to the comics, and a good start off to this series. And that's how I judge it.
Okay, for me, so I haven't read the comics, so I can't compare the two. But from what it sounds like, from what you guys are saying, it's faithful, as Geek just said. I liked the first episode. I mean, I had a vested interest in it before the first episode because Marvel Studios has always had my attention and vested interest because they do such a great job. No matter what, even if it's a bad movie, they always have your interest in it in some way. I'm looking. Captain Carter was a great start off, and I'm looking forward to this next few episodes. I know we're gonna see Marvel Zombies in the future. Don't know when that is. We're gonna see T'Challa Star-Lord. That's gonna be very interesting. How T'Challa becomes Star-Lord. How he's in space. How Killmonger and the relationship with Killmonger and Iron Man. I'm just fascinated with the different roles these characters are going to have in the What If series.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. So, well, everybody, I want to thank you all for. Oh, good grief, geek! What are you sharing me? What are you sharing now? Do I even want to know? Oh, for heaven's sake! So I guess that's grandbaby geek.
That's my grandson. Sorry, I figured if we're gonna end
No,
it,
it's
might as well have
no,
something
it's
new.
okay. It's all right.
He's
It's
3
perfectly
months
all right.
old.
He's adorable, unlike his granddad.
Well, you know, thankfully, most of my kids got their looks from their mothers.
So, well, anyways, folks, like I said, we're going to go and wrap up. But I want to thank you all for tuning in this afternoon. And I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, if you catch us on the replay and you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you leave a like, share your comments down below in the comments section, because it does help out with the algorithm and all that blah, 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 blah. But I will say this. If you catch this video on the replay and you did enjoy the conversation, you have not become a part of the ambassadorial wing. Check out some of my other content, or if this is enough, hit that subscribe button and become a part of this community, because we try to have fun. We here, as the intro says, we celebrate pop culture. We are all equal in fandom. And if you remember those two things, you will always have a place in the ambassadorial wing. So until later this evening, when I'll be back with another Ambassador's Geekasm reviews, where I'll be doing a review of the films of Mike Judge, Beavis and Butthead Do America, and Office Space. You all have a great day. I will see you later tonight. And until next time, these are the Ambassadors, signing off.